Economic principles apply to the farm management. As the technology increasing year by year, farm problems are also more challenging. So here are some economic principles which are useful to successful management of the farm business. So overall we have seven economic principles. First one is law of variable proportions or law of diminishing returns. And this first principle will solve the problem of how much to produce. And this also helps in the determination of the optimum input to use and optimum output to produce. And it explains the basic production relationship, that is factor product relationship. Here factor means input and product means output. So this all tells about the input and output relationship, the relationship between an input and an output. And second principle is cost principle. Cost principle also explain about how we have to minimize our losses during the price adversity. If there is any price adversity, and this cost principle explains us whether we have to continue our production or we have to end up our production. Third principle is principle of factor substitution. Here factor refers to an input, that is input substitution. In this factor substitution, farmer will substitute one input on behalf of another input based on the availability and its cost. And it solves the problem of how to produce and determination of least cost combination of resources. And it explains the factor relationship, that is the relationship between an input and another input. And fourth principle is principle of product substitution. Here product refers to an output, that is substitution of output, output substitution. It solves the problem of what to produce and determination of optimum combination of enterprises. It explains product relationship, that is relationship between an output and an output. And fifth principle is principle of equimarginal returns, and it guides the allocation of resources under conditions of scarcity. And this equimarginal principle provide guidelines for the rational allocation of the scarce resources. And the principle says that returns from limited resources will be maximum if each unit of the resource should be used where it brings great marginal returns. That is, a limited input should be allocated among alternate uses in such a way that marginal value product of the last unit are equal in all its uses. And sixth principle is time comparison principle. And this time comparison principle is useful for making the investment decision. And this includes discounting and compounding. And next, principle of comparative advantage. Comparative advantage tells about regional specialization in the production of the commodities. And yield, cost, and profits are very much important of application of this principle. In comparative advantage, based on the yield, cost, and profit of different crops in different areas, we will decide what crop is suitable in which place. And these are the seven principles and seven economic principles.